Welcome back, everyone. It's the Bourbon Judge. We are going to have some fun today. So this whole episode actually came about because of my patrons. I went out to my patrons and I was like, hey, hit me with your list. Let me know, are there any whiskeys that you're like, you know what? It's just all right. Like, I'm never going to buy a bottle of it again. Kind of a little bit underwhelming. And I just, honestly, I just really didn't feel it. Like, I had the bottle. It's okay. It's not what I expected. And you know what? I'm not buying it again. So this entire episode is actually dedicated to my patrons. But before we dive into to the episode, real quick, I want to give a huge shout out to my newest patrons, my good friend Emily J and Chad B. So Emily and Chad, thank you so much for supporting the Bourbon Judge. Really appreciate the support and all the love, as well as I should say the support from all my patrons. We obviously always have a blast, between Discord or when we go out for barrel picks, our contests, our happy hours, we always just have a blast. So it's like the Judge family. So Emily and Chad, welcome to the Judge family. Much love and respect. All right. So I will get to, I'm going to give you my list. I'm going to give you 5 whiskeys that for me are just really, I'm underwhelmed. Like they're okay. I have them. I'm not in any rush to honestly finish them. I never go for them. I never reach for them. So you'll see a lot of the bottles are still pretty much full. And they're just ones that honestly I don't think I'll ever buy a bottle again. There's nothing about them that just excites me. So I'm gonna give you my 5. Plus, of course, I'm gonna end it with an asterisk. But then we're gonna go into my patrons. I'm gonna tell you there are some shocking feedback I got from my patrons about which ones that they liked and disliked, or I'm sorry, which ones they kind of disliked, I should say. And I even have some quotes as well. So again, I'm not trying to throw any shade at these brands. I'm just being flat out honest for the ones that I personally do not care for. And I also have the list for my patrons, which ones they do not care for. So just going to keep it real. You guys know how I rock and roll on the channel. Cool? All right. So let me go ahead and give you my 5 whiskeys that, I bought these brands, these bottles. I've had them at friends' houses as well. Afterwards, just to make sure, hey, maybe I had a bad bottle. But even after trying it at a friend's house, I'm like, yep, that's the same experience I had in my bottle. So there's nothing special about it. So these are my 5 plus the asterisk. Cool? All right. Let's go. Let's dive into this. So the first one, this might be a surprise to many people. Why? The reason why is because the regular brand, I absolutely flat out love everything that they put out. They're bottled and bond, they're foolproof, you name it. I love everything they put out, especially at the price point, always very fair. But when they came up with this other kind of sub brand, I'm like, I'm just not feeling that. I don't know. So the number 1 for me is Thomas S. More. And I grabbed the chart of the Cabernet cask, but honestly, the Thomas S. More, all of the various different finishes that 1792 is putting out from the Thomas S. More line, I don't know, maybe they should just stick to their regular whiskey, their regular bourbon, right? The bottled and bond, the foolproof, and so forth. Because their finishes, they're not good. They are not good. This one or the other ones that they have, they are not good. Also, from a price standpoint, like $75. That's like highway robbery. I'm sorry. It's just like, I don't know. I'm not getting down with it. I'm not feeling it. So honestly, I am underwhelmed with this bottle as well as all their other bottles as well. All right. That's number 1. Thomas S. More. It's a shame. Number 2. Maybe it's just this distillery. I don't know. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it just doesn't jive with my palate personally. I've had some decent bottles here and there of other brands or sub brands for them, but just this one in particular, I'm not a big fan of it. Coming from Willett, Noah's Mill. So Noah's Mill is a sub brand from the Willett family line. It's just okay. I mean, I've tried it. I've tried it on numerous occasions. It's just some whiskey that's there. It's just so. It doesn't excite me. It doesn't really do anything for me. I've had it numerous times. Each time I'm like, okay, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. And guess what? It doesn't get better. I don't know what it is. Noah's Mill, it's not for the judge. Just not for me. All right. Got a couple other surprises here. Ones I don't really talk about on the channel a lot, but I figure this is a good episode to explain the reason why. Number 3, Blue Note Crossroads. This Crossroads whiskey is just, it's just blah. I don't know. It's extremely bland to me. I get they try to do the whole toasting in the French oak cask and try to have like that, you know. And there are a lot of other brands out there that use the French oak, and they do it very, very well. Such as, for example, Lucky 7. But, you know, and even like Penelope as well. But this Blue Note whiskey, I don't know. There's something about it. It's just there. It's just okay, but it's not great. And it's not the brand overall, because I will say I'm a big fan of the other Blue Note products, such as this Juke Joint, right? But it's just a straight bourbon whiskey, cask strength. This Blue Note, the Juke Joint, is absolutely fantastic. So it's not the overall brand, it's just this sub-brand, this Crossroads. Ugh, not good. Not good at all. All right, on that note, I need a sip of whiskey right now. Cheers, everybody. All right, coming in the number 4 spot. This is another brand that, to me, I've had it numerous times. Not only my bottle, but other friends, like, you know, other whiskey people that I go to their house, when we go, we hang out, we sip whiskey. I'm like, well, maybe I have a bad bottle. Maybe it's just mine. And I've tried another version of this bottle and some of the other ones that they have. And each and every time I'm like, you know what? That is just as bad as my bottle. It is one that I'm not going to buy again. I mean, it's not horrible, but it's nothing special. It's just so-so. It's just, meh. I don't know. 3-quart, aged 12 years. Look at it. You see the age. That's what got me. I was like, ooh, aged 12 years. It has to be good. It has to be good. Guess what? It's not that good. It is not that good. Nope. No, it's not. It's not. I forgot what I even paid for this. I think maybe like $80, 75, $80, maybe 90. And I've tried it numerous times. I've had friends try it as well. I don't know. Everyone that, at least from my bourbon group, they have all agreed. They're like, Judge, you know what? I agree. It's definitely not a rebuy. Like, you know, finish it if you want to, but it's definitely not a rebuy. It's just okay. It's just, I don't know. 3-quart, I'm sorry. One brand, just not for me personally. All right, number 5. This might be a little bit of controversy. I don't know. People might feel very, let's just call it, torn with me adding this into the list. So my number 5. Oh man, I've had this bottle. I've taken a good number of sips from it. I've had other bottles from them as well, other barrels. They're always, to me, just okay. And that's what I feel about this bottle. It's just okay. Smooth Ambler. In this case, is the Old Scout. But I've had numerous Smooth Ambler whiskeys before. And none of them, and I mean none of them, have impressed me. Like, none of them. Literally. They've always just been okay. Just decent, okay whiskey. But not a brand I'm like, you know what? Oh, that's on the shelf. I'm going to grab that. It's not one of those brands for me. So that is the number 5. Just okay whiskey. Just, you know, decent pour, not memorable. Doesn't have a ton of, like, you know, in the palate. Like, it's not memorable from a palate perspective. You know, all 5 of these, what I think of the reason why is because they are, for the most part, extremely bland. There's nothing in the palate that, you know, kind of gives you like a great memory of like, wow, I remember sipping this and loving like the caramel or the leather or the oak or the fruit in it. They're just so whiskey, honestly. And Thomas S. More, that was just that's 1792. I love everything about 1792 except for that sub-brand. That one is one for sure. All right, so we're gonna get to my asterisk, and then I want to find out, before I even get to my asterisk, I want to find out from everyone watching the episode today. Let me know, drop me a comment. Let me know, are there certain bottles, certain sub-brands that you're like, you know what, I'm not buying it again. It's just, it didn't do it for me. It's not what I expected, you know. So drop me a comment. Let me know what you're feeling, what your thoughts are. Also, make sure you hit the like button. Also, hit the subscribe button as well. Come on, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell. Keep getting the notifications each and every time I release new content. Cool? All right. We're going to go to my asterisk, and then we're going to go to my patrons. There's some funny, got some funny quotes here from some of my patrons. All right. So let's go to my asterisk, and I'm going to tell you the reason why I added this one as an asterisk. It's an asterisk because the whiskey itself, as I said in the review when I reviewed it, it's okay. It's good, it's decent. But at the price point that it typically you'll find it on the market, at not even just MSRP, but typically it's above MSRP. It's like $300, $400, $500, $600, $700. There's no way in hell, and you heard me correct, there's no way in hell I'm paying $400, $500, $600 for this bottle. Is it decent, good whiskey? Sure. But is it overhyped? Hell yeah. Will it? This nice little purple top, right? I got this. Oh man. One of my stores hooked me up. They're like, Judge, I got it for you at MSRP. At MSRP, I was okay with it, right? But whoever really sees it honestly at MSRP, we typically don't. You typically see it for $400, $500, $600, $700, $800. And let me just tell you, it's not that kind of a bottle. Even at MSRP, which I think was like $160, maybe $170, I forget. Even at MSRP, I'd rather get a bottle of Old Carter at MSRP versus Oh Captain, My Captain, single barrel from Willett Family Estate. No way. Give me a bottle of Old Carter every day over that at MSRP at $200 versus paying for this bad boy. So that's just the truth. Decent whiskey, just not one I'm going to go back to. As you can tell, had this for a while now. I really haven't dipped back into it. Purple top. Yep, see? Don't believe the hype out there, folks. All right, so let's dive into my patrons. I'm going to tell you like their top 3 picks, which is kind of pretty much like almost like a voting system. And then I'm going to go into some some great quotes from some people, which I love. These are great. So there are 3 whiskeys, I think across the board, almost everyone kind of voted on and said, oh my gosh, absolutely flat out horrible. Number 1, Castle and Key. Castle and Key. That was by far, these are in order too. Number 1, Castle and Key. Across the board, my patron group, they're not fans of Castle and Key. Number 2, Kentucky Owl Confiscated. And then number 3, Willett Everything. All right, so let's go ahead and we're gonna go to some funny quotes here. Just some interesting ones. So one of my patrons, my buddy Chris Bruno, he said, Willett tastes, everything from Willett tastes like earwax. Chris, I've never had the chance to dive into earwax, so I'm gonna have to trust you on that one, my friend. I do know I'm not a huge fan of Willett, as I just said, from this one, and hell, even Noah's Mill as well. But I've never had earwax before, not planning on it either, so I'm gonna take your word on this one, my friend, for sure. I love that, Chris. That's a good one. My buddy Rich Lechner said all 3 Wellers, like the main Wellers that you can find, typically. Special Reserve, the green label, Antique 107, and Weller 12 year. They're all just underwhelming, per my buddy Rich Lechner. I appreciate that, Rich. My buddy Court C says, Old Forester single barrel proof store picks, they drink way too hot. He said, personally, I love 1920 and 1910, even the Old Forester 100 proof. But the rest, like the actual store picks, the barrel strain store picks, typically they're way too hot. And that is actually a really good point. I got to agree with you, Court. I've had numerous single barrel store picks, Old Forester, and they're either really good or way too hot. There's no in between. So you kind of don't know what you're getting with those. And that's unfortunate. My buddy Dennis Paddock, or Dennis P, said, Kentucky Owl Confiscated? Don't believe the hype. I hear you, Dennis. All right. Way too, not worth the price point, huh? I hear you, my friend. Next we have my buddy Chad Bayer. Chad said, Kentucky Owl, Boone County Pot Still, Doc Swinson's Alter Ego. He said, I don't hate them, but there's no way I'm buying these bad boys again. And then last but not least, my good friend Roger Conant, or Roger C, said, Pappy 23. Sorry, fans, this is way over oaked, and there's no way in hell it's worth what it's going for on secondary. Oh man, my patrons have spoken. I love it. Again, friends, until the next time, peace, cheers, and most important, salute. Take care.